The city of Riverton was a sprawling maze of concrete and steel, its streets pulsing with life and sometimes danger. In the heart of its police precinct, K9 Arras, a sleek German shepherd with a coat of midnight black and tan, was more than just a dog. He was a legend. His keen nose, unyielding focus, and unbreakable bond with his handler, Officer Elena Martinez, had made him a cornerstone of the Riverton PD's K9 unit. Tonight, under a moonless sky, Arras would face one of his most perilous missions yet, tracking and apprehending a trio of dangerous criminals who had left a trail of chaos in their wake. It began with a call at 2:17 a.m. The radio in Elena's cruiser crackled to life, dispatching them to a high-stakes scene. 3 armed suspects, wanted for a string of violent robberies, had just fled a botched heist at a downtown jewelry store. They'd shot a security guard, stolen a van, and vanished into the city's labyrinthine alleys. The guard was stable, but the stakes were sky-high. These men were desperate, armed, and had nothing to lose. The precinct needed Arras's nose to pick up their trail before they slipped away for good. Elena pulled up to the crime scene, her cruiser's lights painting the street in red and blue. Arras sat upright in the back, his ears perked, eyes scanning the chaos. The jewelry store's front window was shattered, glass glittering like fallen stars on the pavement. Officers milled about, securing the scene, while forensic techs collected shell casings. Elena clipped Arras's lead to his harness, her voice steady but urgent. "Ready, boy. Let's find them." She led Arras to the getaway van's last known location, a narrow alley 2 blocks away. The van had been found abandoned, its engine still warm. Elena presented Arras with a scent article, a glove dropped by one of the suspects during their escape. Arras sniffed it deeply, his nose twitching as he locked onto the unique chemical signature. His tail stiffened, and he lowered his head, already pulling against the lead. He had the trail. The alley was a sensory overload. Rotting trash, motor oil, and the faint tang of blood from a nearby butcher shop. But Arras's nose cut through the noise like a blade. He moved with purpose, his paws silent on the asphalt, weaving past overturned bins and rusted fire escapes. Elena followed, her flashlight beam dancing over graffiti-covered walls, her hand resting on her holstered Glock. She trusted Arras implicitly, but she knew the dangers lurking in Riverton's shadows. The trail led them out of the alley and into a derelict industrial district. Shuttered factories loomed like silent giants, their broken windows staring blankly into the night. Arras's pace quickened, his nose skimming the ground, then lifting to catch airborne scents. Elena radioed their position, her voice low. K9 unit pursuing scent trail, heading west on Foundry Street. Request backup to stage nearby. Suddenly, Arras froze, his body rigid. His ears swiveled toward a crumbling warehouse 50 yards ahead. Elena crouched beside him, her heart pounding. She knew that stance. Arras had caught something fresh, something close. She whispered, "What is it, boy?" His low growl answered, a rumble deep in his chest. The suspects were inside. Elena signaled for backup to tighten their perimeter but hold position. She and Arras would scout first. The warehouse's side door hung ajar, its hinges rusted and squeaking in the breeze. Arras's nose twitched, confirming the scent. Elena drew her weapon, her pulse steady despite the adrenaline. "Stay sharp, Arras," she murmured. Together they slipped inside. The warehouse was a cavern of shadows, its air thick with dust and the faint smell of motor oil. Crates and rusted machinery littered the floor, creating a maze of hiding spots. Arras moved silently, his eyes glinting in the dim light filtering through broken skylights. Elena followed, her flashlight off to avoid detection. They navigated the labyrinth, Arras's nose guiding them past stacks of rotting pallets. Then a sound, a faint clink of metal on concrete. Arras's head snapped toward it, his body tensing. Elena's eyes followed, spotting a flicker of movement behind a stack of crates. She raised her hand, signaling Arras to hold. They crept closer, her boots silent on the grimy floor. Arras's ears were pinned back, his focus absolute. As they rounded the crates, Elena's flashlight snapped on, illuminating 3 figures huddled in the shadows. The suspects froze, their faces pale in the harsh light. One held a pistol, another a crowbar, and the third clutched a duffel bag stuffed with stolen goods. "Riverton PD," Elena barked. "Drop your weapons now." The man with the pistol sneered, his grip tightening. "You're a lone cop. Bad move." But he hadn't accounted for Arras. Before Elena could respond, the man lunged, raising his gun. Arras exploded into action, a blur of fur and muscle. He leaped, jaws clamping onto the man's forearm with precision. The gun clattered to the floor as the suspect screamed, collapsing under Arras's weight. The second suspect swung his crowbar, aiming for Arras. Elena reacted instantly, tackling the man to the ground. Her training kicked in: disarm, restrain, neutralize. She pinned his arm, cuffing him as he cursed and struggled. The third suspect bolted, sprinting toward a side exit, the duffel bag bouncing against his back. "Arras, go!" Elena commanded, trusting her partner's instincts. Arras released the first suspect, now subdued and whimpering, and tore after the runner. His powerful strides closed the gap in seconds. The suspect glanced back, panic in his eyes, as Arras launched himself. With a calculated tackle, Arras brought him down, pinning him to the concrete with a deep, warning growl. The man froze, hands raised in surrender. Elena secured the first 2 suspects, her cuffs clicking as backup officers stormed in, their boots echoing in the warehouse. She ran to Arras, who stood over the third suspect, his eyes locked on the man's every move. "Good boy," she panted, clipping his lead back on. The suspect glared but stayed still, knowing Arras's jaws were inches from his throat. The scene was chaos and triumph. Officers swarmed the warehouse, securing the suspects and recovering the stolen goods. The duffel bag held not just jewelry but evidence linking the trio to a dozen other robberies. The injured guard's testimony, combined with Arras's takedown, would ensure they faced justice. As the suspects were loaded into patrol cars, Elena knelt beside Arras, scratching his ears. His tail wagged, but his eyes stayed alert, ever the guardian. "You did it, partner," she said softly. He licked her hand, his warmth grounding her after the night's intensity. Back at the precinct, Arras was the hero of the hour. Officers tossed him treats, and the chief promised a commendation for both him and Elena. But for Arras, the reward was simpler: the bond with his handler, the thrill of the chase, and the knowledge that Riverton was a little safer because of him. The city slept easier that night, unaware of the 4-legged hero who'd faced danger head-on. For K9 Arras, it was just another day on the job. But for Elena, and for Riverton, he was nothing short of extraordinary.